like to call the meeting to order. This is the East Brandywine Township Board of Supervisors AM meeting Thursday, June 1st, 2023. I want to remind everybody a recording device will be used during the meeting. Let's open the meeting with a pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Public comment for agenda items. The rules of conduct of public meetings established by Resolution 2001-08 allocates, I'm just looking at the punctuation, excuse me here. The time allocated to each individual making a comment shall be 3 minutes unless otherwise set by the presiding officer. Additional public comment may be granted at the discretion of the presiding officer at the conclusion of the meeting. Let's go to the minutes of previous meetings. You have before you the minutes. Any comments, changes, corrections? I make a motion that the minutes be accepted. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. For clarity, you might want to ask if there is,
Okay,
just to be safe.
right. Is there any public comment? I skipped over is there? Authorization to pay bills and approve payroll. I've reviewed the bills, and I have a couple questions on non-township bills, which we'll deal with later. I'll make a motion that we authorize the payment of the bills and approve the payroll.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Under old business, the 223 road project bid award, the paving, fabric, and overlay. Mr. Revan.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Please bear with me while I make a couple adjustments here. I think there must have been a historical commission presentation. All the controls are a little out of line. All the volume settings are different. The next two agenda items both have to do with the 2023 road project. I want to start with a fiscal note on both before we proceed to board consideration of adopting or awarding the bids to the apparent low bidder. In the 2023 budget, the project for the 2023 budget shows the 2023 road project as two distinct line items. There is, in the capital funds budget, allocated $435,000, and in the state liquid fuels fund, there is a total of $250,000 allocated for the road project. There are two separate awards, and you will consider them one at a time, but I did want to point out that the sum of those two awards is $644,605.70, which is $40,394 under budget. So with that fiscal introduction, in your packet this morning is a cover letter and a list of bidders and a recommendation to award the paving and fabric overlay portion of the road project. As you will note in the cover letter from Cedarville Engineering, the recommendation is to appoint Construction Master Services LLC, to award the contract to Construction Masters LLC in the amount of $494,427.70. We received 4 total bids. They are the apparent low bidder, There's also in your packet is a list of the streets. Actually, I don't know that that made it into your physical packet. It is in the online packet as a list of the streets that will be done. So at this time, I'd respectfully ask the board to award the contract for paving fabric and overlay to Construction Master Services LLC.
I'll make a motion that we award the paving and the fabric overlay to Construction Master Services LLC in the amount of their bid of $494,427.70.
I'll second.
Discussion.
I'm going to abstain because I just found out this morning that I know somebody who works for the company, so I'm going to abstain.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? And we have one abstention. Okay. Mr. Revin, you want to do the chip?
Right. So the second award for your consideration is for chip and fog sealing. Cedarville Engineering similarly advertised that portion of the project, received 2 bids, and the apparent low bidder is Martin Paving Incorporated, and the bid was $150,178. And at this time, I'd respectfully ask the board to award the contract to Martin Paving.
I'll make a motion to award the chip and fog sealing contract to Martin Paving in the amount of $150,178. Second?
I'll second.
I have a question on this that might be technical and cannot be answered, so, but the chipping and sealing, I know that used to be done a lot more used to be done a lot more, and I'm just wondering, is that to preserve the road from deteriorating further or to extend the life? Since it's not paving, I don't understand the dynamics of chipping a road versus letting it get paved every so many years according to the paving schedule. Any of our construction guys?
Without the benefit of our engineer or the roadmaster present, I'm going to have to say I do not know the answer, but I can get the answer and get back to you.
In other words,
I can say that PennDOT considers it maintenance.
right,
So that would give you some clue to, it's not replacing the road surface.
Right, it's not really-
maintaining the road surface.
correct, but I saw on the online version, I saw the roads that were being chipped and paved, and even some of the ones that are paved, and I know it's all part of a detailed, well-thought-out, well-designed paving schedule over many, many years, but some of those roads are in better condition than roads that aren't on the list. And I guess we'll award the contract and educate ourselves at a later date. So all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anything else under old business? Move on to new business. The A.J. Blazinski Waste Hauler, 5th-year extension. Mr. Revin.
So our contract for curbside collection of recyclables and trash is structured as a 5-year contract with the first 3 years being guaranteed and the years 4 and 5 being options that the township can exercise to retain the hauler. 2024 will be the 5th year of a 5-year contract, and The contract specifies that we are to provide notice 180 days before the end of the year that we intend to use the hauler in the upcoming year. In your packet is a draft letter I've prepared notifying A.J. Blazinski of our intent to use their services for 2024. So it is my recommendation that we exercise our option to retain them into year 5. So at this time, I'd respectfully ask the board to authorize me to send this letter to A.J. Blazinski.
You have handy what the fifth-year contract amount is?
No, I did not include it in the packet.
Okay. I believe it's like 588,000, up from about 545,000.
I wouldn't want to speculate. I had it out in our office
Right,
during our
it's not a huge
conversation.
increase. It would not behoove us to try to bid a year early. That was the point I was getting at.
Well taken. I regret not having included that in the packet.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we renew for 2024, the curbside collection of municipal solid waste and single-stream recyclables with A.J. Blazinski, Inc. Is there a second?
A second.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Evan. And subdivision and zoning applications, there's none listed. Ordinance and resolution for consideration, none listed. Public comment on non-agenda items.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I wanted to talk to you about volunteer recognition. As you guys are well aware, I think, we have a terrific volunteer support from our community, and it's remarkable the amount of support that we get. I know from talking to other municipalities, we're at the top tier of in that area of operation. I know municipalities that are combining commissions because they can't find the manpower to cover that. Years ago, we used to have volunteer banquets every other year or so to recognize the volunteers. And in addition to that, on the website, we had the volunteers listed for each of the commissions and the committees. And that is a form of recognition as well. And it recognizes the individual volunteers, but it also allows the volunteers of other committees and commissions to see who else is supporting the township, and it allows the community to see the level of support that's been given to the township. Recently, all of the names of the volunteers have been pulled from the township's website. I think that's the least we can do to recognize people and allow people to see the level of support the township has. And it also helps with the grants and whatnot. If you submit a grant, they will often look at the township website to see if the personnel you're talking about in the grants is listed. A key example would be David Culp for Bonsville Mill. I talked to Luke about this, and I find it disturbing that he doesn't have the bandwidth to cover tasks like that any longer, the updating of those lists. And it's an indication of perhaps how thinly staffed the township is to have everything covered. But my main point is I'd like to see the volunteers listed on the website as a minimum level of recognition for their service to the township, and to allow others from outside the township to see the support that we have. So that's basically all I have to say for your consideration.
If you don't mind.
No, go ahead.
I agree wholeheartedly, and I actually we discussed this at a meeting not too long ago about reinstating. I think it was COVID that was one of the main reasons about 2 or 3 years ago that we had planned on having another appreciation dinner, and it got canceled, not canceled, but it got sidelined.
Right.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. If not every year, at least every 3 years to do that again, because I think it's instrumental. And, you know, I know on the Bondsville Mill, I know on the Parks and Recs, I know on all these committees that we have, you know, to do this and not have to have splitting of staff and everything going on onto these is incredible. Just last night, I received a text message from our fire department that had 35 volunteers at a training. I mean, this is unheard of. So, again, it's the very least that we can do, you know, at least every 3 years. But I agree with you as well, getting this figured out for the website.
Okay. Any other comments?
I have a question. Luke, I'm sure it's a lot of names. I didn't quite understand I'm not being a technical person. There are so many names that it clogs our bandwidth.
Not precisely. Hang on just one moment. Let me get the camera just, okay. So I'm going to bring up the Township's website. You up the same for the video. Yeah, I think the bandwidth that Jim is referring to is more of a human resources concept than a technical concept. Historically, under the government tab here, you have a list of all of the boards and commissions. So I'll just, as an example, I'll use the Historical Commission. These pages used to have a column on the side that had a current list of all the members of the Historical Commission, similar to other committees throughout. I omitted that part of each of the page because of the difficulty in keeping it current. So that was a website management decision that I made to save time.
I imagine keeping it current is a hurdle. And I imagine you were the one responsible for keeping it current?
Yeah.
Commission
So-
heads,
Pardon me?
should it be up to the heads of the commissions?
Right, well, to make the changes, and maybe that can be delegated. to
Maybe
some-
each department at fiscal year submits the newest changes.
That's what we do. It's basically a once a year update, and there are some occasional mid-year
Yeah,
changes
and maybe
in personnel.
your
but-
particular departments, but if everybody we made sure that everybody does it, then that's what it was.
Well, I think that we do. I know that I updated Luke, for example, for Bondsville Mill and for the Planning Commission. I'm no longer the chair of the Historical Commission, I'm the vice chair, but any changes that we make on that, we update Luke for. This year, the Historical Commission did not change. We have the same membership as last year. But the information supplied to Luke, his concern is the amount of time that it physically takes him to make the changes in the website.
Well, let's further characterize my decision as a return on investment kind of decision. I did not, and I do not feel that these individual pages of the website have the kind of traffic that's worth the investment in keeping in constant updates in this. I vision the most of the content on the website flows through our modules, such as the Township News or the Township Calendar. That's where most of the current information goes. You can see at the top there's a notice about the pending Horseshoe Pike closure. In general, the effort is given to those content management services kind of modules, the news and the calendar, and not to maintaining individual pages distributed throughout the site. I see those as more static.
Perhaps you could create a directory page that listed all the commissions and committees on one page. That would be one page to edit versus several. I don't know if that changes the effort level or not. I'm just saying that the volunteers that give their time to the township are not identifiable to anybody outside the township. If they visit the website, there's no place where they can see those people listed. And in some cases, with regard to outward looking in, there's a benefit to having the volunteers listed so that the grant administrators that we're making applications to can see the level of support that's being given. That's my argument.
Let us take that under advisement. It's difficult to make that, I mean, I think we would all.
Yeah,
like to find
I don't expect you to make a decision today, but I wanted to bring this up for your consideration.
And I would also like to add, people filling out job applications, they love to put their volunteer
Sure.
down,
Sure.
and it's something that can be verified by an employer possibly too, so.
And these volunteers are committed to what they're
Absolutely.
doing. I mean, every one of them that I know, they're on the commission or the committee for a reason, and they participate, so they deserve it. Thanks.
Thanks, Jim.
Any other public comment?
15 minutes to get this representing Veterans today. Took about 18.
All right, seeing no more public comment, the following notices are, there was an executive session to discuss personnel matters on May 26th, and there will be an executive session following the meeting to discuss personnel matters after this meeting. Is there a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second? All those in favor? Aye. Thank you.